I just finished Half-Life 2, Episode 2, and it was awesome. This year, I've done a full replay of Half-Life 2 and Episode 1 and now Episode 2. Man, these games have something that so many modern titles just lack, and I feel like that is hard. There's a depth to them that feels intentional here, a sense that the developers poured everything they had into making something really unique. It's not all about flashy graphics, it's not all about quick rewards or endless content designed to keep you grinding forever. It's about a world that pulls you in and makes you care. So what does it mean for a game to have heart? When I think about it, it's the feeling you get when you know a game isn't just a product. It's an experience. It's designed to make you feel something. The passion behind it is so easily felt by the player base. Just like you can totally tell when a game is made just to make money. Obviously, all games want to make money. They want to do well. It's not a criticism. But when you drop into City 17, if you've ever played to the first hour of Half-Life 2, you know this. It doesn't bombard you with tutorials or a checklist of things to accomplish. There's no mini-map icon. You are free to explore this oppressive and eerie world. You need to take in the sights and the sounds and let the story just unfold naturally. It's a kind of subtle storytelling that's really rare these days, where the game respects your curiosity and lets you piece things together. It respects your intelligence. It knows if they design it well enough, they can subtly give you all of the info you need to figure out the mechanics and to get through a puzzle, but it doesn't need to just dictate it to you. Okay, look at many modern games. It is very clear to see this kind of experience that respects the player's intelligence is getting harder to find. The Far Cry series always is brought up here. While the games have their moments, and I really enjoyed Far Cry 5, they're pretty often bloated with side quests, collectibles, map markers. It feels more like going through a grocery list than really engaging with the world. Assassin's Creed, overloaded maps, content that is more like a task manager than a true open world. They're designed to keep you playing, to keep you engaged, so that you'll eventually spend more money, whether that's expansions or cosmetics or in-game currency. I don't play sports games, but obviously from a periphery standpoint, FIFA and the NBA series, like the 2K series, they're prime examples. They are designed to keep you in a loop, grinding for rewards, and there's this constant temptation to get you to spend real money to get ahead. Those games aren't about the experience as much anymore. The scales have tipped towards revenue, and as a player, I think that I feel that when a game is designed more so with profit rather than the passion, and that takes away from the immersion, from the feeling of stepping into a world created with care. It's not always about an overloaded map or microtransactions either. Live service games the last decade have been the push, because what a better way to communicate to shareholders that a game is doing well than monthly active user metrics. And you very clearly know when you're just an MAU to the developer or the publisher. You know when the scale has tipped from, we're trying to make a cool live service game, to we're just trying to maintain a little number so we can give a good graph to the shareholder meeting. I've had plenty of fun with live service games, but honestly, stepping away from a lot of those the last 3-4 years has been so gratifying. And once you're off the hamster wheel, once you've stepped away from the artificial gear grind, the constant loop where you need to grind the new loot, you gotta be the first to get to endgame so you can do the new activity, so you can show off your cool new banner, bro. Once you've stepped out of that hamster wheel, a lot of times you may not want to come back. As mentioned, there are some games that are super great at that, and there are periods of time where you can have a lot of fun. But yeah, let's face it, a lot of those games, the heart of the game gets completely buried under all these FOMO mechanics that are just there to keep you engaged indefinitely. I'm not saying all modern games lack heart, though. There's plenty of indie titles that capture that feeling of a deeply personal experience. These games are crafted with love and a clear vision, and you can feel it in every frame, every bit of dialogue, every mechanic. But these have been the exception rather than the norm. In an industry that's increasingly driven by financial considerations, games with heart can feel like a rarity or a hidden gem amongst a sea of titles just there for engagement optimization. Former PlayStation executive Sean Layden has talked about what he calls a collapse of creativity in the industry. As budgets have skyrocketed, studios are taking fewer risks. I'm going to leave this article down below. It's fantastic. He basically goes on to say that today, and I quote, "the entry cost for making a AAA game is in the triple-digit millions now. In the past, developers focused on whether a game was fun rather than monetization schemes." He says now that it's so expensive, of course, risk tolerance drops. And I quote, "You're looking at sequels, you're looking at copycats, because the finance guys who draw the line say, well, Fortnite made this much money in this amount of time, so my Fortnite knockoff can make that money in that amount of time." We're seeing a collapse of creativity in games today with studio consolidation and the high cost of production. AA is gone, and that is a threat to the ecosystem. And he concludes by saying, now, if we can just get a bit more interest and excitement and exposure for these lower budget but super creative and super unusual types of games, I'd like to see more of that. Because if we're just going to rely on blockbusters to get us through, I think that's a death sentence. Now, everything Sean said there makes total sense. It's not a surprise. But as a player, it means that we're seeing fewer games that are truly unique, that have a personal touch. Instead, maybe there's a really technically impressive game. It looks great in the trailers. They spent $1 bajillion on it and 10 years building it. But then you realize there's no spark, there's no heart, there's no soul behind it. That's why when I look back at Half-Life 2, playing through it again, it's such a reminder of what gaming can be. And maybe Half-Life 2 doesn't resonate with you. I'm sure there is like that title that you know overwhelmingly is like, yes, that game has heart. I love it. Every time I boot it up, this is so different than everything else. It's a reminder that a game doesn't need to be endlessly replayable or filled with so much content that you could lose 1,000 hours in it. Sometimes all it just needs is a clear vision, a sense of purpose, and a willingness to put the experience above everything else. And that's what I think games with heart are all about. It's not just about entertainment, but connecting, resonating, leaving a lasting impression. Games that aren't afraid to take a risk, to be different, and to trust that the players will appreciate the journey. Even if it doesn't come with $1 million marketing campaign or a mountain of DLC. Where does that leave us now as players? I think it's a reminder to seek out and support the experiences that are made with passion, that offer something unique, and to spread the word about them. It's a reminder to value depth over breadth, to look for the games that make us feel something. Because at the end of the day, those are the games that stick with us. Those are the games that have heart. Thank you very much for watching. What games do you think have heart? Would love to read about that in the comments. Have a really great weekend, and I'll see you again on Monday.